All right, UFC Vancouver, October 18th at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada. In the main event, it's a 5-round fight between middleweight contenders Reinier de Ridder and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. De Ridder is ranked number 5, came into the UFC, a former 2-division champion and 1 championship. He's undefeated in UFC, and obviously he's beat Bo Nickel, former champ Rob Whittaker. This dude has fought 4 times this year, and he's looking for his 5th win in 2025. I love guys that fight that much. I love it. And he's taking on 6th-ranked Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Fluffy's on an 8-fight win streak 2 weeks ago. He had an incredible performance of the night win over Roman. 12 of his 15 wins have come by finish. That is a bad fight. And obviously next month in Paris, we have another top middleweight contender fight between number 2 ranked Imavov and 7th ranked Bohalyo. And then Vancouver is a few weeks later. We'll see how this whole thing plays out, and we're going to end up with a middleweight challenger for Khamzat Chimaev's title that he just won.
Двигаться, двигаться, двигаться.
What if the biggest fight news of the year didn't come from a press conference, but from a private room in the Gulf where a new champion walked in with a gold belt and walked out with a number that makes promoters blink? That is the buzz around Khamzat Chimaev right now. Reports claim influential backers in the Middle East have floated a $30 million purse for a single super fight, the kind of offer that turns speculation into agenda. Rumors suggest the goal is not just to headline another card. They want a spectacle the sport will argue about for a decade, and they want it soon. The question is not whether the money is big. The question is who could possibly stand across from him and make it worth that mountain. The obvious answer in the whispers is Islam Makhachev. On paper, that matchup is force meeting force. Champion aura colliding with champion aura. 2 systems that squeeze the oxygen out of rooms. Some insist it cannot happen soon. Not with schedules packed and divisions that need order. But wave a check that big and obstacles turn into negotiations. Chimaev has never been shy about following the largest payday. He has said he will fight wherever the numbers make sense. And he has even hinted that if the offer is right, he will stand opposite Islam. Whether the crossover is practical is a separate debate. Whether the money could make it real is the part that keeps phones buzzing. Until rumor becomes contract, reality still rules. There is a middleweight title to defend and a short list of names hunting. The betting lines tell you how the public feels. Against Nasruddin Imavov, Chimaev hovers as a heavy favorite. Against Caio Borralho, he is still a towering favorite. Against Michael Venom Page, the numbers border on comedy. Right now, nobody looks close on paper, yet one man refused to wait for a phone call. Reinier de Ridder, the long-measured technician, congratulated the champion and said Abu Dhabi in October sounds perfect. He followed it with a simple promise. He would show what real grappling dominance looks like when it matters most. De Ridder's tone had the calm sharpness of a career mat specialist. He talked about long frames, sneaky threats from guard, and the belief that he can turn top pressure into a trap for the man on top. He praised Chimaev, then leaned into his edge. He believes he can put the champion on his back and keep him there long enough to change the rhythm of the night. Chimaev answered with the bite you expect from a fresh king, promising to make him look like a white belt. The calendar actually fits. Chimaev has pointed toward October 25th in Abu Dhabi, and de Ridder likes the date and the city. If that pairing lands, the conversation will not be about trash talk. It will be about whether a precise system can smother a violent one. Meanwhile, the schedule is quietly building the bracket around him. Vancouver on October 18 features a 5-rounder between de Ridder and Anthony. Fluffy Hernandez, a streaking finisher who just picked up another performance bonus and looks like he is sprinting downhill. Paris next month brings Imavov versus Borralho, a stylistic tangle that should produce a clear next man up. Add those results together and you get a shortlist for the middleweight throne. If the superfight money does not rewrite the plan, the merit ladder will. And if the money wins, the ladder pauses while the sport chases a once-in-a-moment pageant. People are still debating the UFC 319 blueprint that delivered the belt. Arman Tsarukyan said Khamzat wanted to trade after banking early rounds against Dricus du Plessis, but the corner kept him tethered to the script: wrestle, compress, do not gift chaos. Javier Mendez co-signed the choice and said it was exactly the game plan he would have called. The crowd booed. The scorecards did not care. 3 rounds of control later, a belt changed shoulders and a narrative changed lanes. That is not the sprinting bulldozer version of Khamzat. It is the champion version, the one who values risk like a banker values interest rates. Dominic Cruz thinks the pendulum has swung back toward the grapplers. MMA always cycles. We get eras of snipers who sprawl and snipe, then waves of wrestlers and top pressure artists who squeeze the air out of striking exchanges. What stunned Cruz was not that du Plessis got taken down. It was that he almost never found daylight. No frames that mattered, no clean escapes, no separation that led to a reset. That is dominance by denial. It is the kind of win that makes contenders rethink what they drill on Monday, because if you cannot build frames and scoot to space, the best in the world will hold you like a suitcase. Paddy Pimblett hit a similar note with fewer filters. He said the people calling it boring do not feel the weight of those positions. He praised the craft hidden in small adjustments and then cheekily mocked Tsarukyan by saying the closest he gets to the belt is standing next to Khamzat when the cameras roll. That is classic Paddy, half insight and half showmanship, but the point remains. Elite control is not a highlight until you are the one under it, counting breaths and hoping for a mistake that never comes. Championship nights do not reward impulse. They reward problem solving at suffocating speed. Money talk aside, the culture around fighting keeps inventing side quests. A popular streamer, HS Techie, tossed out a $40,000 spar offer to Sean Strickland and promised he would outbox him. Maybe it never happens. Maybe it happens in a gym with phones pointed from every angle. Either way, it proves how combat sports now lives beyond rankings. Attention creates its own undercards. Noise becomes oxygen. In an era where clips travel faster than press releases, even side stories can tilt the spotlight and shape the next headline. Back to the main plot. If De Ridder gets the title shot, we finally test a clean hypothesis. Can a long, methodical technician slow Chimaev's pressure, reverse him, and threaten from bottom without giving up the top? De Ridder says yes. He says he has tricks that do not look dangerous until posture breaks and balance goes missing. The counter-argument is simple and cruel. It is hard to be clever when you cannot breathe. Khamzat's best weapon is not a single move. It is his ability to make the cage feel small, to make the clock feel fast, and to make even confident fighters think about surviving before they think about winning. And if the Makhachev rumor grows legs, the questions multiply. Islam is a positional tyrant with a gas tank that punishes hesitation. Meeting Khamzat would stack pressure upon pressure. The scrambles would be small storms. The clinches would be gravity tests. It would be the kind of fight where tiny errors turn into checkmates, where both corners beg their guy to choose high percentage options for 25 minutes. If you love pure tactics, that is the one you circle with a heavy marker and debate until the walkouts. Strip it down and a simpler truth appears. Chimaev is in the chapter where every decision leaves a shadow. Chase spectacle at the wrong time and shiny nights become lessons. Grind through contenders without risk and people start saying safe. The art is choosing when to gamble and when to bank minutes. At 319, he banked them and proved he can color inside the lines without losing the edge that makes opponents panic. That is not a crowd pleaser every time. It is a belt keeper, and a champion is allowed to be efficient when the trophy is on the table. There is a human layer beneath the headlines. The man keeps saying he wants #1 pound for pound. You do not achieve that by winning once. You do it by stacking undeniable nights, by beating specialists at their specialty, by walking into hostile arenas and walking out with people annoyed at your method but forced to admit its effectiveness. That is how a reputation hardens. That is how your name starts living in the same sentence as the greats without anyone rolling their eyes. So where does it go next? Either the 30 million story turns into a date, a city, and a scoreboard, or the machine keeps humming and a rightful challenger emerges from Paris and Vancouver. If it is the latter, expect more control, more pressure, and the possibility of late fight cruelty if someone panics and gives up positional gold. If it is the former, expect a global announcement that looks less like a card reveal and more like a festival. Both roads feel real, both demand the same thing that won the belt in the first place: discipline that does not blink. And that is the promise hanging over the division. Whether it is De Ridder with long limbs and quiet traps, Imavov with calm sniping, Baralho with balanced entries, or pageantry that throws champion against champion, the champion's plan will not change unless someone forces it to change. Pressure first. Space denied, minutes earned. If you cannot stop it, you must outlast it. If you cannot outlast it, you must create a scramble big enough to flip the script. Until somebody does, the belt belongs to the blueprint. For now, that stands.